Shalom, brothers and sisters. I hope everyone is doing well. All praise due to the Most High Heavenly Father Yahweh and His Son. Today I'm going to be giving my opinion on eating blood, fat, and going out to eat at restaurants. My references today is going to be the scriptures and Google. This video is not what you can eat and what you can't eat, or what's clean and what's not clean to eat. I think there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there that did an amazing job on showing that, and there's a lot of videos out there. I'm just adding to those. Okay, so let's start at Genesis chapter 9, verse 3. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And that's right off of Genesis, from pretty much almost the get-go, chapter 9. One of the commandments is we cannot eat blood. Okay, so let's go to Leviticus chapter 3, starting at verse 16. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is the Yahweh's. It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat nor blood. Okay, verse 17 says we cannot eat fat nor blood. Throughout our generations, throughout our dwellings, we cannot eat fat or blood. And I know a lot of you brothers and sisters already know that. You're like, I cook my meat all the way. Everything is cooked. My steak is well done. Chicken is well done. I cook everything all the way. I cook the blood out. The only thing is, when you cook it, and you cook it well done, or whatever you're cooking, it actually cooks the blood into the meat. You can't cook blood out. Okay, so for example, this is a piece of brisket that I was washing out, getting ready to cook. Salt water, washing it out, trimming the fat off of it. This is after I pulled the brisket out, the blood and water mix. So let's see what happens when we take this blood and water and put it in a pan. It's not even pure blood. It's just blood and water mix. It's diluted. This is the pan before I put the diluted blood and water in there. As you can see, as it's heating up and the water is evaporating, you can see the blood residue on the pan left behind. That gets cooked into the meat. As the last of the water is evaporating, you can see the blood stain that's on the pan. Now that's in your chicken, your beef, whatever the case may be. It gets cooked in there. So it hasn't came out. You're still eating it. So how do we get the blood out of the meat and the fat out of the meat? A lot of the fat we can cut, but not all of it. How do we get it out? Let's see if the scriptures give us clues. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 6, starting at 27.
The flesh thereof shall be holy. And when there is sprinkled of the blood thereof upon any garment, thou shalt wash that whereon it was sprinkled in the holy place. But the earthen vessel wherein it is sodden shall be broken. And if it be sodden in a brazen pot, it shall be both scoured and rinsed in water.
Okay, let's break that down a little bit. Verse 28, it says, but the earthly vessels wherein it is sodden shall be broken. Okay, so earthly vessel is clay pot, whereas sodden. So we have to see what this word sodden means. Let's go on a little bit further. And if it be sodden in a brass pot, it shall both be scoured and rinsed in water. So there go that word again, sodden. So let's see what the definition of sodden means. Okay, so let's go to our handy dandy Google and let's see what the definition of sodden means. Sodden means boiled or seed. So boiled. Let's see if we have another example in the scriptures of them soddening or boiling meat. Okay, let's go to Numbers chapter 6, verse 18.
And the Nazarite shall shave the head of his separation at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall take the hair of the head of his separation, and put it in the fire which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall take the sodden shoulder of the ram, and one unleavened cake out of the basket, and one unleavened wafer, and shall put them upon the hands of the Nazarite, after the hair of his separation is shaven. And the
right there, starting at verse 19, it says, and the priest shall take the sodden shoulder of the ram. Okay, so sodden, so boiled again. Let's see if we can find some more examples of soddening meat or boiling meat. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2, starting at verse 11.
And Elkanah went to Ramah to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They knew not the Lord. And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came while the flesh was in seething, with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand. And he struck it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot. All that the flesh hook brought up the priest took for himself. So they did in Shiloh unto all the Israelites that came thither. Also before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed,
Give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw.
And if any man said unto him,
Let them not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desireth.
Then he would answer him,
Nay, but thou shalt give it me now, and if not, I will take it by force.
Wherefore the sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for men abhorred the offering of the Lord.
Okay, so let's break that down real quick, starting at verse 13. And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, The priest's servants came while the flesh was in seething with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand. Okay, so while the flesh was in seething. So remember the definition for sodden? Let's look at it again real quick. Okay, sodden means boiled or seethed. So that's the same thing right there on 13, where it says, while the flesh was in seething. So boiling, seething, soddening is the same thing. Let's go down to verse 15. It says, also before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the men that sacrificed, give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw. So there it says it again. For he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw. They didn't want it boiled. They wanted it raw. Not that they were just going to eat it raw, but they just, wanted to put it on a pan, barbecue it, whatever, however they wanted to cook it. But they did not want to pull the blood or fat off of it. On verse 16, it goes on to say, and if any man said unto him, let them not fail to burn the fat, they took it by force. They just didn't want that. They didn't want it cooked at all. They wanted the blood, the fat, everything. Now on 17, it says, therefore the sin of the young men. So that was a sin against them. Not having it boiled, not taking the blood and the fat out of it. Okay, so let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 14, starting at verse 30.
Did a little of this honey. How much more, if haply the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found? For had there not been now a much great slaughter among the Philistines? And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Ayalon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil, and took sheep, and oxen, and calves, and slew them on the ground, and the people did eat them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, behold, the people sin against the Lord, in that they eat with the blood. And he said, ye have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day. And Saul said, disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against the Lord in eating with the blood. And all the people brought every man.
So starting at verse 32, and the people flew upon the spoil and took sheep, oxen, and slew them, and they did eat with the blood, but they didn't. So in my opinion, what that means is they cooked it, because our people's not going to eat nothing raw, no raw meat. They cooked it without boiling it. Okay, that's what in my opinion, that's what they did. That's why it was a sin upon them, just like it was a sin upon the 2 sons of the high priest. So let's go to Exodus chapter 12.
Exodus 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood, and strike it on the 2 side posts, and on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden it all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus...
Let's start at verse 9. It says, Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roasted with fire. Now, the Passover is the only time that I've personally have came across where it specifically tells you one time not to do it, but to roast it in fire. And it says, do not eat of it raw. So now remember, if we go to when Saul, they ate with the blood. They didn't eat of it raw. They slew it, ate with the blood. Okay, so they cooked it how they would cook it on Passover. They just cooked it on fire. They didn't sodden it in water. Passover is the only time that I've came across where it says do not sodden with water. So what I do is I take water, I season it, I bring it to a boil, and I put the meat in there, and I let it boil with the seasonings that I'm going to season the meat with already. As far as boiling the meat, it all depends how big it is and if it has bones or not. I usually take it out, put my knife through it to see if it's bleeding or not. It usually takes about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes to get it out, and the rest of the fat kind of curls up where you can cut it out. And once the meat is boiled and the fat is trimmed off of it, I re-seasoned it and then put it on the barbecue, or cook it however you're going to cook it. That way the blood is out of it. Okay, so let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, starting at verse 23.
But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even. And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even. The carcasses of every beast which divideth the hoof, and is not cloven-footed, nor cheweth the cud, are unclean unto you. Every one that toucheth them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all 4, those are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even. They are unclean unto you. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel and the mouse, and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever doth touch them when they be dead shall be unclean until the even. And upon whatsoever any of them when they are dead doth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood or raiment or skin or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the even. So it shall be cleansed. And every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and ye shall break it. Of all meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean. And all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. And every thing whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean, whether it be oven or ranges for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you.
So, after all the unclean animals, verse 35 is pretty much saying, if any of those unclean animals fall upon your ranges, your pots, your pans, they have to be broken down. It's done. It's completely unclean for you. So when you go to restaurants, and I've worked at restaurants before, all kinds of abominable food gets cooked over there. All those pots, those pans, the stove tops, the flat grills, the oil, it's all dirty. It's all unclean to us because they fry abominable food in there. It has to be broken down. That's why it's just better for us to eat at home and cook for ourselves. And as far as, people order pizza, the trays, they got cooked, pizza with pepperoni and sausage, and they cut it up. And the next pizza comes, they cut it up with the same cutter. Everything is completely unclean for us. So, and if you live in a household where, you're the only one observing it, it's best to just get your own pots and pans where you can just cook on your own or keep it separate. Do the best you can. Ask the Most High for guidance, pray, fast, and, all praise due to the Most High Heavenly Father and His Son. And these are just my opinions, and I'm just sharing them on how I came to these opinions. So I'll see you guys at the next video. I appreciate you, brothers and sisters, taking the time to watch.